Have you ever had that feeling where the air just gets sucked out of the room? Your heart starts pounding, your palms get sweaty, and you feel like the walls are closing in. For me, that moment happened in a tiny windowless supply closet at work. A room no bigger than a walk-in wardrobe, crammed with shelves of paper, toner cartridges, and old binders. And in that tiny space, my boss, Mr. Henderson, was standing right behind me. So close I could feel the warmth radiating from him. So close I could smell his strong, overpowering cologne. I was just trying to find a specific type of legal-sized paper we needed for a big presentation. A simple, mundane task. I'd been rummaging on the bottom shelf, my back to the door, when he walked in without a sound. 1 second, I was alone, focused on my task, and the next, a shadow fell over me. I jumped, startled, and turned my head, and there he was, blocking the only exit. "Just getting some paper, Sarah," he asked, his voice low. It sounded normal, but everything about the situation felt wrong. The space was so tight that for him to come in, he had to physically press past where I would have been standing. It felt deliberate. I straightened up, trying to create some distance, but my back hit the metal shelving. The cold steel was a stark contrast to the sudden heat flushing my face. "Yes, Mr. Henderson," I managed to say, my voice barely a whisper. "Just for the financial reports." I tried to act casual, as if this was completely normal, as if my boss regularly cornered me in storage rooms. But my mind was racing. Why was he here? Why was he standing so close? He didn't move. He just stood there, looking down at me. Mr. Henderson was a tall, imposing man, and in that confined space, he seemed like a giant. His presence filled every inch of the room, making it hard to breathe. I felt trapped, like a mouse cornered by a cat. "Let me help you with that," he said, but he made no move to actually help. Instead, his hand came up and rested on the shelf right next to my head, effectively caging me in. My heart was now a drum against my ribs, each beat a frantic plea to escape. This wasn't the first time he'd made me feel uncomfortable. There were the accidental brushes in the hallway, the lingering gazes during meetings, the comments about my outfits that were always just on the edge of inappropriate. I'd always brushed them off, telling myself I was overreacting, that he was just being friendly. But now, in this small, silent room, with his body blocking my escape, I couldn't ignore it anymore. This wasn't friendly. This was a power play. He was showing me how easily he could control the situation, how easily he could intimidate me. My fight-or-flight response was screaming at me. I needed to get out. I took a shallow breath and said, "I've got it, thanks." I should get back to my desk. I tried to pivot, to slide past him, but he shifted his weight, subtly blocking my path. "No rush, Sarah," he said, a smile playing on his lips that didn't reach his eyes. "We need to talk about your performance review." My stomach dropped. The performance review? Here? Now? It was the most absurd, unprofessional thing I had ever heard. It was a clear excuse. "Can we do this in your office, Mr. Henderson?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to sound professional when all I felt was panic. "Of course," he said, his smile widening. "But I just wanted to tell you, personally, that you're doing a great job." Really great job. He emphasized the word really, and his gaze dropped from my eyes, making my skin crawl. He was enjoying this. He was enjoying my fear, my discomfort. He was feeding off it. This experience taught me a powerful, albeit terrifying, lesson. Workplace harassment isn't always loud and obvious. It can be quiet, subtle, and insidious. It's the slow erosion of your boundaries, the quiet moments of intimidation that make you question your own sanity. It's that feeling of being trapped, not just physically in a small room, but emotionally in a toxic work environment. I knew in that moment that I couldn't just brush it off anymore. Ignoring it had only empowered him. Getting out of that room was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I remember taking a deep breath, looking him straight in the eye, and saying with a firmness I didn't know I possessed, "Mr. Henderson, please move." "I'm leaving now." The smile on his face faltered for a second. He was surprised. He wasn't used to being challenged. For a long, tense moment, he didn't move, and then, slowly, he took a step back. It was only a small step, but it was enough. I squeezed past him, not looking back, my hands shaking as I fled down the hall back to the safety of my cubicle. Sitting at my desk, I tried to calm my racing heart. I felt a confusing mix of relief, anger, and shame. Shame that I'd let it get this far. Anger at him for abusing his power. And sheer relief that I was out of that room. That evening, I went home and wrote down everything that had happened. Not just in the supply closet, but every single incident, every uncomfortable comment, every lingering look. Documenting it all made it real. It validated my feelings and took away the power of self-doubt. The next day, I walked into Human Resources with my detailed notes and filed a formal complaint. It was terrifying. I was worried about retaliation, about not being believed, about losing my job. But I was more afraid of what would happen if I stayed silent. The investigation was stressful, but HR took it seriously. Other women, it turned out, had similar stories. My speaking up gave them the courage to come forward too. Within a month, Mr. Henderson was no longer with the company. Looking back, that awful moment in the supply closet was a turning point. It forced me to confront a situation I had been avoiding. It taught me the importance of setting firm boundaries and of trusting my instincts. If a situation feels wrong, it probably is. You don't have to tolerate behavior that makes you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, no matter who that person is. Your safety and well-being come first. If you're in a similar situation, please know that you are not alone and it is not your fault. Document everything. Dates, times, locations, what was said, what was done, and who might have witnessed it. Find a trusted friend, family member, or colleague to confide in. And most importantly, report it to your HR department or a superior you trust. There are laws and policies in place to protect you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, remember that support is available. Organizations like the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission or local crisis centers can offer guidance and resources. Taking that first step is the hardest part, but it's the first step toward reclaiming your power and your peace of mind. Thank you for listening. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other.